Welcome to the Iconic Podcast, an extension of the Iconic magazine. I am your host, Jen Spiegel, the CEO and editor-in-chief. These weekly interviews with industry moguls will provide you with the inspiration, insights, and lessons for how to grow an iconic life and business for yourself. Be sure to check out the latest digital or printed copy of the magazine to view more actionable steps, expert advice, and personal stories to support you to spark and grow and scale your business as an entrepreneur. I am so glad you're here. Friends, welcome to the Iconic Podcast with someone that I met. We walked into a room together. We were both speaking, kindred spirits in many ways, but I knew her right away because there is only one season of Love Island I have watched, and it happened to be the season that she won. We have Hannah Wright here, who is the winner of Love Island USA Season 5. But I also am really curious to showcase the woman. I know that's not all of who you are. And as much as that is a bit of an identity because it's such a public experience, I am so curious to know you, who you were, what happened as a result of that experience, who you are now. Congratulations to you and Marco, the very first couple to get engaged. But more than that, that kind of title, I know the two of you love each other so deeply. So congratulations for finding each other through such a unique way.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. It was a crazy experience, but it works. We're a testament of the show and what happens if you are open to finding love and in a good place. And I feel like that's how I was talking about before the show. And I was a teacher. I taught TK through fifth and had no dating life. I was 24, so I was very confident in myself and who I was and comfortable with myself. And you kind of have to be to put yourself out there for an experience like this. It was funny when I got the call for the show, I was at summer school and I was teaching summer school and we were on a field trip at the aquarium with the kids. I was taking my class to the bathroom and I was like trying to have them. I'm like, okay, I'm on the phone. I'm just taking a call really quick. But the casting producer heard all the chaos and it just lined up. I just believe everything happens for a reason. And now I'm here, just very blessed and grateful. It's a crazy experience, but it worked out.
Okay, so you're a teacher. You are also an athlete, which I think must have like some lessons and wisdom that you carried into Love Island and also serves you in your life afterwards. But here you are. What makes you even apply to Love Island? Like, I'm so curious around that.
To be honest with you, Jen, just you and being a career woman, a businesswoman yourself, I always saw something more for myself. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how I was going to get there. And I knew that I wanted a platform to reach women. And that's just something I saw for myself at a young age. Maybe it's how I grew up. My dad was a principal and he was a forward-facing person in the community. So I always saw that for myself. So I would always watch these shows. I would watch all the dating shows and I'm like, you know what? I could do this. I did see this for myself.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah. And so just always having that in me, I feel like is what drove me to apply, to kind of block out everyone who was doubting me. To be honest, my family had some reservations, like you're flying to Fiji and you're going to be on this show. Like, is this safe? So it was a lot of just trusting my instincts. And I feel like that's what I've just continued to do even since the show with my career now, doing content and meeting people and networking, just trusting my instincts and just praying. And it's worked out for me.
It's amazing. So there's something here that I think is really transferable to anybody listening in. You said, I kind of always knew that this would happen for me. And you had that feeling of there's something more. I know teachers. I was raised by teachers, so I know what that. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And it can also become an identity, at least in my experience, what I've witnessed and working with some teachers as well, that it really does become part of who you are. And so you sort of identify as I am this because you go to school to get the degree, to have the career. But here you are, 24 years old, in a career that I'm sure your dad was proud of because he knew that career well, but you have this burn in your belly. So what I suppose I'd love to like dig deeper on is, did you always have that knowing, that belief in yourself? Was that something that came from your athletic career, or did you just sort of remember, look back at yourself and go, I've always had that?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like I've always had that. And I think to your point, and you could probably relate, I tried to push it away. I tried to push those thoughts away because out of fear
Mm.
for not being successful, or this isn't the traditional job or the traditional 9 to 5 or blue collar job that I was raised with, even after the show. So you win the show and there's all these opportunities, obviously, but it was so unconventional to me. I still was substitute teaching. It was fun, but it was kinda awkward for me because the kids would recognize me or a teacher would recognize me, and then it was spread throughout the school, "Oh, you were on this Love Island." So that kinda made it difficult, but then I realized I'm like, "Okay, I could do this full time. I could do content full time and be my own business." And so I decided, I'm like, "Okay, this is what I wanna do. I'm going to focus on it." And I just invested in myself, really. I invested in photography, a videographer, invested in a stylist. We have a publicist now. And it was hard, though, to get to that point because I didn't really have anyone to look up to in this space. There was definitely a lot of doubt, but I'm so happy that I listened to myself and listened to that, I guess, little Hannah this whole time because now, 2 years now since the show, I have done what I wanted to do and I'm reaching my dreams and I'm speaking at the women's conferences that I met you at, all
Yeah.
things I've wanted to do. So I guess always listen to your voice. You're going to have a lot of people who doubt you and who try to put you off your path and you really can't listen to it.
It's true. I also hear through your story, which is something I teach and I just feel is such an important thing for anybody listening, is you also did things before you felt ready. Because I was hearing you like, I hired, I invested because I knew this was something that I wanted to experience and I believed in myself. And so you did these things without there being evidence or a personal brand that was well established. I think that is such an important piece too. It even kind of is the through line with applying to Love Island, just like, I think I could do this. And then you go do the thing. You don't just contemplate and think about it. You actually action on your dreams. So, again, like, what would you say to somebody listening in who maybe is always contemplating or negotiating with herself or thinking, I need to see if it's going to work first, then I will? What would you say to encourage her?
I'm a big believer as everything happens in divine timing. I feel like we do have a time where it's your time in a sense, but you also don't want to wait. So I would say don't wait. Take every opportunity because everything that I went through for the show and after the show, I don't regret anything. So take every opportunity. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. The women's conferences now that I'm doing, I'm meeting so many amazing people from different walks of life and I didn't know anything about them. And to be honest with you, I was very nervous to do these conferences because they were my first ones speaking. And it's just crazy how many opportunities that's created for me. So don't think anything is too small to say no. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid a big lump sum or a tiny lump sum, because I think experience, for example, Secrets Resorts, this is just an example, just for what I do as a content creator. They reached out to Marco and I and they were like, hey, we'd love to take you on a free vacation to Tulum. I had a manager at the time who was like, well, you're not getting paid. It's a free vacation. We're like, well, it's December here in Pittsburgh. It's cold out. I would love to go to Tulum. So let's go to Tulum. We go to Secrets. We loved the team. They treated us amazing. We got really close with the marketing team. They brought us back for another type of campaign in Philly. Fast
Mm.
forward, they're the same resort who hosted our engagement. So if we would have never taken that free opportunity, we would never have this opportunity with this amazing company that are now really good friends of ours. Again, I guess that just is another factor, trusting your instincts. You might have other people who give other opinions, but trust those instincts. And it's worked out for us.
It sure has.
Hmm.
And I love that advice. Nothing's too small. And I do think there's this layer of ego that's sort of streaming through the online space. And even in the point in my career, I am not too big or untouchable to enter a room and not be paid because I can see that it's going to create some impact. Here's the thing, that event we were at, I wouldn't have met you. And so opening up doors rather than keeping them closed. So I'm so glad again that you're teaching a lot of really valuable lessons to the women listening in who may not be creators like you, but are thinking about things in their lives. This is the beginning of 2026. And so, it's that time where we start to dream and think and what's possible, but it's so easy to have that voice in your head say, not now, you need to make more money, it's not the right time. And everything you're teaching through your example is, I just said yes. I just went for it.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's what I've continued to do because you never know. I think we all have like a vision for our lives and a dream of what we want to do. And I think as I progress in my career, I'm like, you know what? I try not to think too far ahead.
Mm.
I try to stay present because every day there's something new that changes, especially in the media space. Like there's always something happening. But I try not to look too far ahead. I still have dreams and things I want to accomplish, but I think that's some other advice I could give. Don't overwhelm yourself with the unknown because I think that's very easy to do, especially when you are your own business. And this is advice that I got from another business partner. He was like, well, that's what happens with being your own business. There's going to be times where it's really good and where it's not good. But that's just what you risk being your own business. And so that's normal. And that's
Yes.
okay to have that doubt, but don't let it overcome you and don't let it force you to quit. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I feel like people are astonished and surprised when things aren't always this like beautiful trajectory upwards. It's like I think people start with these rose colored glasses. And I know when I work with my private clients, we're often talking through that. It's like, well, who you are when you're in challenge and how you lead when things are not working or seemingly not working matters more than the part that's full of success and accolades and applause. Because that is when most people quit. Most people give up during the challenge and the hard. The ones who succeed are the ones who say, well, I'm in a point of chiseling. What am I supposed to learn here? It is a piece of humble pie to keep us grounded and steady. And then I believe it also keeps us really excited and full of gratitude for when things do turn around. Like we don't take it for granted. Over the last 20 years, I've noticed something. So many of you standing on the sidelines, curious about my world, curious about how I lead, create, mother, build, and live, but unsure of where to begin. And that's why I decided to open up and invite you into the iconic world. My Substack home and the most accessible way to step into my energy. It is for a space for the woman who has been watching, the woman who knows she's meant for more, and the woman who is ready to finally say, yes, I'm coming in. Inside, I share what I do not share anywhere else: the essays, ideas, style, beauty, interiors, the behind the scenes of building both Iconic Magazine and Becoming Iconic, and the life that I pour myself into. This is where you rise to the occasion, where your creativity wakes up, where inspiration becomes action, where you begin co creating your own iconic life and business, one intention at a time. And for those who choose to come in, you will also receive a physical copy of the magazine delivered to your door, early access to features, event invitations, and an intimate look into the evolution of everything that I am building. If you have ever wondered what it feels like to truly step into my world, the door is open. Join me inside the iconic world. The link is in the show notes. And this is where your next chapter begins. This is where you get access to the mind and spirit and expression of an editor in chief, a woman, and a founder like nobody else on the internet.
Exactly. No, I've definitely learned that. And yeah, you go through those hard times. So for when it is good, you're grateful. And then when it is hard again, it's not as hard because it's preparation. So again, I believe everything happens for a reason. And it's hard though at first. When you're in it and you're going through this new experience, it's hard. So I'm not going to say I was always like this. This version of Hannah and this confidence and this wisdom honestly came this year. It was a tough year. My dad passed in March. And
Mm.
so things like that are going to happen. Like life is still going to continue to happen. But since then, again, I tried to take positives from negative situations. I was fortunate to start a scholarship in his name for women in sports at the high school he was principal at, my alma mater, Palm Springs High School. And I'm like, okay, this is what my dad would have loved. First of all, he would have loved having a scholarship in his name. He loved taking up all the energy and he loved the
Good,
spotlight. I'll say that.
good, good.
So now I have something that honors him each year. And we're helping a woman with college expenses every year. So things like that. It puts things into perspective, and that's going to happen. And that's life. You lose people. So it was a hard year. But then again, I feel like this has been my best year yet, too, personally.
Sorry for the loss of your dad. Sending you lots of love. But here's the thing, too, that's so interesting to me because when I watched you on Love Island, you were my favorite because you just felt like the wisdom of the space. Like you felt confident and you kept everybody grounded. So I want to kind of go into Love Island a little bit because I have these like curious questions.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how does one get ready? So you get the call from the producer, hey, you're on the show. What happens to Hannah? Like, what do you do to prepare for that?
I was in therapy, which helped me a lot. But here's the thing, you never know if you're going on the show. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start seeing this therapist and just my life teaching. It was a lot and navigating these emotions. So she really helped me prepare and staying present, which I think really helped me in the villa and through the whole casting process. So I get the call, you're going to Fiji. I didn't know if I was going to be on the show. They
Ah.
even talked about making me, they have this thing called a mock islander. So it's a whole cast of islanders like me, Marco, our cast, but they aren't necessarily going to be on the show. And it's for them to test out the cameras and lighting and things like that. So they said, oh, we might want you as a mock islander. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. But the producer's like, free trip to Fiji. I'm like, okay, why not? So
Yeah.
you get there, and I think I wasn't even off the plane. Someone picks you up from the airport, you're at a resort. It's all very secretive. They're texting each other because they don't want you to run into any other islanders. We were also the first season in Fiji. So everything was very new for the production team. And you could tell because they were like so unsure about everything that's going on. So as soon as I'm off the flight, no more than 30 minutes, hey, Hannah, you're going to do an interview with the executive producers. I was so nervous. They said, put on your best outfit. I put on like my best outfit. And I walk in, and the head producer, he said, you're not just some little teacher. He's like, you look like a supermodel. And I was
Hmm.
like, what is that supposed to mean? I said, teachers
Yeah.
could be. So I was automatically like kind of giving it back to him. And yeah, so that was that. I sat in my room for 2 weeks, didn't know anything. And then I
Wow.
get a call. Hey, Hannah, we think you're going in. I'm like, okay, great. I wasn't able to talk to my family up until that point. I had my phone for a week, and then another week I didn't have my phone. So I called my family. I'm like, I'm safe. I'm okay. All is well. I can't even tell them I'm going on the show. I just let them know I'm like, I'm okay. So there was that. Then a wardrobe team comes in, has me try on like 10 bikinis.
Oh.
So then it's like 4 a.m., same day. They're like, okay, you're going to go in and you're going to be with another bombshell. I don't know who she is or whatever. So then they make you wait all night. We're just in the car. They're trying to like hype us up with music. I was nervous, but I was also very confident. That was it. They said, okay, you're going in. And then from there, I found out I'm the first bombshell with Carmen. And it was just a crazy experience. But I do get that often. Hannah, you just seem like you were very confident. I was because I was so, I guess, present and I didn't care what anybody thought about me.
Mhm.
Every time there was a recoupling or a dumping or something, I was so mentally prepared to leave just because I like my life. I like my family. I wasn't sad about leaving. And I think that's what showed my authenticity because I didn't care what people necessarily were saying online and things like that. So I think that's what got me far. I was myself, how I would be on the outside is how I was on the inside. The show also wasn't as big. So I wasn't really necessarily thinking about, oh, what are people talking about online like it is now? Like, I really feel bad for upcoming Islanders because the reach is so big now. I bet it would be very nerve wracking going in
Right.
as an Islander now. There was a great production team too that made me feel safe. And having Marco there, obviously, like he was my experience. So if I didn't have him there, it would be a different story. We just looked out for each other and
Mhm.
it fell into line.
You did. And it's so nice to hear you. I feel like the word embodied comes up for me. Like you just feel embodied. So you were in therapy and you really worked on yourself to be in presence. But I'm thinking of the women too that I talk to who are always getting ready to get ready. They're not seizing opportunities because, again, like if something's popping up in my mind. I just had a conversation with someone in my DMs and she's like, I really want to come in the magazine, but I think I need to lose 20 pounds first before I commit to something like this. And I was like, wow, how we feel like we have to look a certain way or prepare ourselves for great opportunities. Like we push away these moments. My heart kind of was sad. I also think I'm sad by it because I also was her. I remember being that woman that thought I have to look a certain way, present a
Mm.
certain way, be more successful in order to walk into rooms. I'm thinking about you walking into the villa. Like the fact that you were trying on bikinis, I wonder, did you have vulnerability in that? Or was it just like, I know who I am? I mean, you are a bombshell and you are a supermodel. So that that is the truth. But we all have those insecurities despite what we physically look like. So I'm just curious, did you have moments of
Yeah,
vulnerability?
that's a great question because I definitely did. For example, I was actually just talking to Marco about this. My body type in particular, I'm on the thinner side. I was scared that guys in the villa wouldn't necessarily like that because I don't have the voluptuous body. So I was insecure about that. And all those things go through my mind. And thankfully, Marco, he didn't care. And he's like, well, you're my type. That's what I like. So he obviously helps me feel confident. But going in, that was definitely an insecurity of mine. And yeah, you do feel vulnerable when two women are barging into your room. Okay, try this on. We're going to take a picture. Try this on. We're going to take a picture. And
Wow.
just being in the TV world, they all have their image. Like you kind of are filling a role with these shows. So I think I had that in mind too, though. So I didn't take it personally. Like it is a show, it is a production. For example, we always say that Marco was the player because his intro and him coming in, it portrayed him as a player. And if you know him, he's totally farthest from a player. He had one girlfriend before, which is very monogamous type of guy. But again, you are filling a role. And I think that's one thing I did remind myself like, okay, I am on this show, but this isn't who I am. They are telling a story. And once I realized that, I'm like, okay, I had that in mind. But that first week, I was very insecure. But then you kind of get the lay of the land and you're like, okay, I see what this is. I have my part to play in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. And again, it's just you're showing this embodiment, this self awareness that is so rare and special. Again, I was so excited for this conversation because I was excited to know Hannah.
Hmm.
Oh, like I wanted to know you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, I really genuinely did because I know who you are. I saw a portion, a sliver of that, but you were my favorite
Right.
just because I had that experience of you. So, just so you know, it did feel now that I'm learning about you and having this time with you, that's how I saw you and portrayed you as. So, it's so nice to know that that was authentic because I think sometimes we do think in these reality shows, are they playing a character? Like, do they say to you, okay, you're going to be this person. So, we need you to kind of play this role? Like, I've always wondered if that's a bit of a thing.
That definitely is a thing. And I think this is something I realized after the show. Like, for example, someone told me, one of the casting agents, they really wanted a teacher. So I was like, okay. So I think that I kind of always was that. But it's yes and no, because say they want me as this big sister role model figure, but then I go on there and my personality is completely different. Like it's a hit or miss sometimes, but I do feel like towards the end, I was like, okay, I see the role I play in here, and you're telling a story. And if they didn't have these like storytelling elements, it would be very boring.
Right.
So I get both sides. They do have points though where they tell you, "Hey Hannah, we didn't hear you and Marco having a conversation earlier. Can you go have that conversation again?" And we're like, "Okay." So there are moments like that that aren't as authentic, but again, it goes with the storytelling element. Like for example, me and Marco, I think like we whispered to each other. We're like, okay, we're not interested in anyone else. I said, are you? He's like, no. We're like, okay, we're going to tell these people we're not interested in them. They got so mad at us. They were like, Hannah, how could you cut things off with the other guy so quickly? What if Marco does this to you and he isn't loyal to you? So they do try to get in your head. So I was in my head, I was like, But then I realized, I'm like, oh, okay. They don't like that I didn't say that on camera because viewers at home, they're going to be like, wait, what happened with Hannah and so? Or they want to draw out this storyline.
Yes.
I guess we outsmarted them that way. Our season wasn't as dramatic as these newer seasons. So maybe if we did play into that, it would have been it would have been a little bigger, but that's just not who me and Marco are.
No.
So
When did you know it was Marco? Like, when you were whispering that, like, was there a defining moment where you just thought, I am really falling for this person?
yeah, there was a couple. I just loved how committed he was to me. I guess the defining moment was when his ex came in. If you remember that.
Yeah. I forgot. Yes.
We did have drama. So she came in, and then I never really doubted it, but then that just kind of reassured me. And he's the type of person, he just won't act for anybody. Like, he's just who he is. And I love that about him. And he's just very blunt and straightforward and doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. So it was just the amount of safety that he made me feel. And he continues to make me feel this way and just loved. And it's like he had tunnel vision for me. As a woman, I'm like, that's all I could ask for.
Yes.
That's really what I value. So that, and he has the biggest heart with everybody. And that showed in the villa too, because he, just like me, was very invested in everyone else and how they're doing and if they're okay. And there was a level of maturity from him as well. So all those things added up because I am more of a slow burner. Like, even after the show, I was like, I would love for us to work out, but I just know that life is going to happen. Like, I moved in with him in Florida, and family things and career things, all of that happened. So I'm also a realist. So as much as I wanted things to work out, like, you kind of never know. But he'll tell you the opposite. He'll be like, well, I knew from the jump, but that's just not how I am. I'm just kind of like, okay, time will tell. It was like, I always tell people, like a feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It was just the intuition where I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust this. Hopefully it works out.
Well, and you trusted your intuition in the past and it led you the right way. That's your story. You're this woman who understands herself, listens to herself, follows through on those intuitive hits. And so that again, it just like builds the trust, builds the trust. So you don't doubt these things as often, I think, as other people do, because your experience is when I actually have this feeling in my tummy and I follow through on it, some good things happen. And I don't know what that good thing is, but I'm going to trust and like keep following this North Star.
Exactly. And you know what? It's interesting you say that because that is how I am as a person. Like, trust is the most important thing for me in working relationships, in my career. And that's something that I've had to learn how to build with people because, again, people come in and out of your life, managers, agents, all types of things. But for me, trust is the biggest thing. And I'm fortunate now that we have a team who we trust more than anything. Tracy Ellis Ross, she was doing a podcast recently. She's the best. Like,
She's amazing. I think I know the podcast. Was it Emma Greed's?
yes,
Yes.
her recent podcast.
Oh, good.
And she was talking about that. She was like, well, I don't want to be like a dictator of a boss or anything like that. But if I have that trust with you, I feel like I don't need to be that way. And a helicopter boss, and that's how I feel like I am. Like, once I have that trust, I'm like, okay, that's the most important thing in all aspects of my life. So I guess that's advice I could give people out there too. Get yourself a team of people who you can trust, because I think they don't need to be the biggest agency or the biggest company, but working with people who you trust and who care about you and your success, I think that's priceless. That's what I've learned.
I agree. What
So
do you look for in someone, whether it be an agent or someone you're collaborating with? Are there characteristics? Is it a feeling? Like, I think you mentioned it was a feeling with Marco. Is that usually how you build your trust with someone?
I think just transparency. For example, if you're interviewing them, if they're transparent about the work they've done and they're open to answer questions too. Like, I feel like there shouldn't be any gray areas. For example, a new management who I hired, I loved how she was like, I could even talk to Marco if they want to know about our working relationship. And that means a lot to me because he is my partner.
Yeah.
We share a bank account. So he wants to know like who I'm working with, essentially. I really appreciate that. So just openness and honesty and someone who's not offended by you asking questions. Because for me, who has been in situations where I have been burned in a sense. I did have that trauma, I guess, and that mistrust that I had to build again. And I'm fortunate now, my new management, they're extremely communicative. Like I could ask them any question and they're just open and honest with me. And I'm like, okay, I could breathe. I could focus on really just making content and doing what I want to do. And I don't have to worry about them on the back end when it comes to my deals and things like that. So, yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if you're your own business. You need to be clear about the money you're making and contracts and things like that. And that'll make you feel better too as a businesswoman. That's one thing I had to learn, just me being timid and in this new world. I was like, I just kind of trust anyone. No, you can't do that.
No, you can't. There's a lot of people who look at you as an opportunity.
Right.
So their opportunity versus what I would say would be a mutual opportunity because everything
Right.
should be mutual. I mean, I think of it even in the work I do. There's mutual benefit, and that's not wrong, but it's not about me. I think of like someone in my role could be about like, what are you going to bring me? What are you going to bring me? It just doesn't work. So when you
No.
ask questions and someone's all about themselves and thinking about what's in it for them, they're going to be defensive and, maybe even brush you off as though, why would you ask me that and make you feel maybe some guilt, some shame, and some
Yeah.
embarrassment. Whereas someone who's in it for the mutual partnership, they're going to welcome that because it only deepens your connection, your trust, the fact that you're both working towards the same thing. So I think that's excellent, excellent advice for people to listen to.
Yeah, it's taken time because social media, it's a whole new world and it is a world of opportunity though, which is what I like to talk about at these women's conferences. It's not impossible. I think there's like a gray area where people are like, well, how do you make money on social media? It's not as hard as people think. And so that's what I want to encourage. Speaking with my friend at a local high school, just keep encouraging children. And like, there is different ways and different career paths that you could have now, but it's all about how you do it and you want to be authentic. So that's one thing I learned. It's just all taking time, but learning every day.
What advice would you give creators, influencers, entrepreneurs? You've given us some great tips already and lessons, but is there something that's really important for you to say to them that you have learned? Maybe it's recently, maybe it's just throughout the journey that you could share with them. Like, here's my golden nugget piece of wisdom.
I think don't chase virality. That's what a lot of people want to do nowadays. Like they want to have that TikTok that gets a million likes. And that's great and all. But I've learned is longevity has been the key for me and Marco. We're not going viral like this new season, but I feel like my followers and the people who I connect with, they know our story. They know who I am as a person and what I have going on because of the posts that I make in my life. And I do cooking videos now and I get messages and they're like, Hannah, thank you so much for your cooking videos. I've done every single one. Like just things like that where you're really connecting with people. I think that's what pays off. And I think that's what brands want to see. For example, my first deal, I was just telling the story, was with Google, my first big deal. And I just made a video talking about my Coachella outfits because I'm from Palm Springs, California, and I'd always go to Coachella. Got like 300 likes. But then Google reaches out to me to do a brand deal with Coachella. So it doesn't matter
No.
how many likes somebody said, doesn't matter, likes, views get you deals. And it's not even necessarily views. And then I asked to the marketing team who reached out to me, I said, how did you find me? They said, oh, we saw your Coachella post and you did hashtag Coachella and something like that. And you said how you're from Palm Springs. So I'm like, oh, wow. So that's how this works. Like you really need to have a personal attachment with the brand so that they want to work with you. That's what I do. I just document my life and what I do in my life and the brands that connect with me, they do. And I don't need to be going viral to pay my bills, which is nice. So yeah, it's one thing I've learned.
Yeah. The chase for me, first of all, it's like another hamster wheel. And I think we've worked so hard to get off those hamster wheels. So then to just go on another one where it's like, I got to get more likes. I'm thinking, but what about the quality of what you're putting out there? What about the intentionality of what you're putting out there? I met with someone yesterday who was on the cover of the magazine, and that was her reflection back. She's like, there's so much intentionality. Like, you story tell through this entire magazine. It's content that you want to sit down and read versus a world that's just so surface level for the hit of dopamine with how many views and likes will I get. And you're absolutely right. It doesn't necessarily pay. And even going viral, are you even ready for that viral moment? Like, what are you going to do with that? You want it, you wish for it, but what does it even mean if you don't have anything in terms of like a business behind the scenes that can leverage that moment? So I really appreciate you saying that, because we've said it now, I would say for the last year and a half, that that message is coming to the surface, but I still feel like people are cynical around the message. I still think they think, no, but. And the more people like yourself who share that, maybe they'll start to believe that, in fact, it's the quality of work, not the quantity, that matters. And we'll have more depth on the internet.
Yeah. And everything that glitters, I feel like isn't gold. Again, back to divine timing. Yes, you have this viral moment. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to then you have these eyes on you and things like that. Like, obviously, it's good to have your content do well. Really, it's that quality of what you are happy with. If you are happy with the content, I think that's the main thing, because that shows. And it should be a happy thing. I've met so many creators at these things, and it just seems kind of like a chore. And it is work, which I understand that. And I do treat it like work. I try to not be on my phone after a certain amount of hours a day. And I do have a plan of what I post, but it should be fun, just like anything you do. So I think remember that too. Have a relationship with it where it doesn't feel overwhelming or does it feel like a task. Because I have had moments like that too, where I'm like, okay, this is a lot. This is not good for my mental. So be aware of that feeling too. Another thing, I'm saying all these quotes that I've learned recently or
You're
that I've
good.
gotten from people. Be less of a consumer and more of a producer. I think
Yes.
I'm in that era now too. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want to consume too much.
I had a private client today say that to me. She's like, I stopped consuming and I'm so happy and my business is growing. I didn't realize how much that consumption was making me doubt my choices or feel like I was farther behind, or, it was happening for them and not for me. And I say it all the time, like, go on a consumption diet. I actually in 2026 have really taken myself out of a lot of industries. And what I'm following now are people that spark innovation, creation, thought leadership. Even your cookies, like, I want to watch content like that and go try a new cookie recipe and, have fun with my kids. So it's meaningful content that I'm looking for. I really am not here to watch everybody else because our time is so precious. And if we have time to do that, then we have time to do more great work in our business. So that's just how my brain works. It's like,
Love
I'm not
that.
going to sit here and scroll. I'd rather build something beautiful over here for the business that's going to benefit my life, And I really appreciate you saying that.
Thank you. Yep, it's everyday learning. It does get hard sometimes. It's easy to get in your head.
It is.
So you want to do things that are positive outlets and positive for your mind. So yeah, change that algorithm. If you're seeing something that's not aligning or that makes you feel icky or that's drama, I always do the not interested button.
Yeah.
And that's been the best thing. Not interested, get it off my timeline. Do those
Mhm.
words. Honestly, I've done that. I've gotten Love Island off my timeline many times. Those buzzwords, it helps.
I bet it does. So let's close that Love Island story. You
Mhm.
win. The cameras go off. I almost imagine there's this level of like excitement and like we won Love Island, and maybe even a little bit of like, I don't know, like, what do we do next? Questioning. I'm curious. Like, I'm just wondering if there's a duality in that moment. I would imagine there is slightly, but I'd love you to share what happened then.
Okay, so the night we won, it was awesome. I felt like honored and privileged. And then a day goes by and you get your phone back a day later because that's when the episode premieres
Okay.
in the United States. So it was like 3 p.m. the next day, we get our phone back. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. To have people know me like this now is overwhelming. A lot of things changed in our personal life. And I think that's the downside that no one really talks about. It comes with a lot of good opportunities, but there was a lot of people close to us trying to tell us what to do next. And that got really frustrating. You need to start a podcast. You need to do this. You need to do that. And it was just kind of like, I just need you here to support me. These people in my life. And so Marco and I, we both went through that. And there's a lot of doubt because it's like, yeah, we won the show. What should we be doing? And the show had never been that big either, from my understanding. It was the first season on Peacock. And it's still like this because the seasons that I talked to now from this past season, the show really doesn't prepare you. They don't tell you, oh, here's an agent you should get with, or they actually sent us an agent that did not align with us at all. So things like that. It was a lot of just kind of learning on our own. So it was hard. Just the personal relationships in your life changing, and then your career is kind of changing too. I think that's what caused Marco and I, though, to grow closer because it's like we only had each other. We really did. And the more people we met in the industry, we were able to get advice about what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. But it was hard. It was a great year, but I think that was our hardest year, the year we won the show, just because we didn't know what to do with our life. And we didn't have role models either to show us what to do. So, yeah, I went to substitute teaching, and then Marco went back to the chiropractic office that he was working at. He was like, I don't think this social media thing's for me. He had the dream of being on TV and an actor and all these things. And it was crazy about divine timing. The day that he wanted to quit totally, and he's like, I'm full time, I'm going to chiropractic school, all this stuff. He got a call at like 11 p.m., an email to do the T-Mobile commercial. And you have to fly to LA for 5 days. And we're going to pay you X amount of money. And was in two nationwide runs of
Wow.
a T-Mobile commercial. And then we're like, if that wasn't a sign, I don't know what is. And then he goes there, he kills it, meets all these people, and he's like, this is what I want to do. This is what I love. I'm like, okay, then we're going to do it. And since then, yeah, we just been riding with it, and we just became wiser. But it was tough. And I do feel for all contestants who get off all these shows because it really is overnight a change, and you oftentimes don't have help. So it's tough.
It reminds me of someone that wins the lottery or someone that
Mhm.
maybe this is not a great example, but this is just what's coming up like someone who was ill and so just out of touch with the world, like cocooned in their own way, and just something radical happens and you come up and you want to step back into your life, but it's actually nothing you can step back into because everybody's expectations have changed. Everybody's sort of giving advice. I imagine the discernment the two of you had to have just to sort through, like, you've never done this before, so I'm not sure I'm going to take your advice, uncle or cousin or bestie. And I do think everybody's doing the best they can with what they know. And I do think a lot of times it is through love. They want to, help and support. But I can only imagine having no phone, being in this cocoon of Love Island in the villa, and then suddenly you win, you come up, you grab your phone, and it's just like everybody wanting a piece of Hannah, a piece of Marco.
And it's so true what you say about the discernment of it all, because that's something that we just kind of had to come to terms with because we went on this show. Everyone's image, not everyone, but a lot of people's image of us changed. Just the fact that we were on just the fact that you saw me on TV, it has changed the perspective of us in a lot of people's minds. And it shouldn't, because you know who I am and you know my heart, and but that just is what comes with the territory. And then a lot of people don't try to understand this new way of life or what it is. And it's like, okay, if you're not willing to try to understand where I am and who I'm coming from, then I'm just going to have to distance myself.
Yes.
And so that's what we've had to do numerous times. And I think it just comes to with having a platform. I think a lot of people, they just assume who you are because of a platform. And it's like, yeah, I didn't ask for this,
No,
but people are going to believe what they want to believe. And that's just, I can't change someone's perception.
that's right.
So that is something that we still deal with to this day because
Mm.
we were on a reality TV show. It's not like we're actors or we're Justin Bieber or we're something like that. We can't sing or we don't have any talent like that. But because of this era of technology now and social media, it just changes people's perception. So we just have to learn, and that spirit of discernment it has to be strong.
It does, I bet. And I can imagine too that it would have bonded you because you would be looking for someone who understands the scenario. It's those sliding door moments in life where something radical happens, like again, winning the lottery. Or I was even thinking, better example than what I gave earlier of like an Olympic athlete, you win or you get the star role. Like it's just those things that can actually shift life so quickly. And suddenly, again, you're having to not only manage your experience and what you went through and like processing all of that, but now you're having to hold space for everybody else. Well, you don't have to, but it's sort of pushed onto you to hold space of everybody else's experience or expectations. Would you say that was the biggest challenge?
You've hit the nail right on the head. Yes, it definitely has. Especially because I feel like I'm loyal to people, but I also like I let people are like family to me. Like I don't really have the boundary of like acquaintance and close friend. Is just kind of like Marco. We both like dive right in, just because we're very loving people. So that's been hard having to distance ourselves from people who we feel like their intentions aren't the best, but then we come to terms with it. Deion Sanders, he says, I watch a lot of interviews, which I'm assuming you do too.
Yes, I
Uh,
do.
it's so great. It helps you reflect. But he said you can't want all of the nice things like the fame and all of that and be upset when there's the downsides of it too. And
Mhm.
it's true. It comes with the territory. If I was a teacher back in Palm Springs and knew what knew me, it'd be a different situation. But this is the life that I chose. And I have to just remind myself of that. Okay, this is just what comes with the territory. Not everything that glitters is gold. And
Mhm.
that's okay. But that definitely has been the hardest thing. Every day, I become stronger and better with it. But it was hard at first because, yeah, we are just very loving people and we don't have to change that, but we kind of just have to be careful.
Yeah. Protective a little bit. Not a protectiveness that holds you back from experiencing great people, but just
Right.
the word discernment. I really do. I think that you must have had to practice and almost master the art of discernment of people's intentions, trusting people, asking the right questions, and making sure that the people you surround yourself with do have those pure intentions of wanting the best for you and Marco. Do you have a dream collab right now? Is there like this collab if they're like, I would love to have this partnership?
There is a couple. Well, I'm kind of pivoting. This is an exclusive, Jen.
Woo, I
I
like.
I love the creator space and it's so fun to work with these different brands, but I would love to be on the other side of things. The more campaigns and stuff I do, I have a background in journalism and broadcasting. I love the back end in creating these campaigns. So I would love to be in a more of a creative director role for the brands. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
for example, we just did this like Suave campaign. And so I came up with the concept with Marco and wrote the script. And I'm like, you know what? I'd love to do that with brands. So maybe I don't have a dream collab, but I would all types of brands. Like
Mhm.
I was checking my bank this morning. I'm like, wow, I could do this for Chase Bank. I could do this for brands big and small, help them find creators, create these campaigns and push them out now in the era of social media. So I'm speaking it into existence, this creative director role, and we'll see what happens.
Listen, it's my affection. I would call myself if someone's like, if you had to say in a title who you are, I would define myself as a creative director for
Oh, I
sure.
love that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would because I'm really always looking at messaging and nuance and fresh ideas. I like to squiggle outside the lines. I
Yeah.
like to really have someone be seen and like how can we it's just so artistic. It's such an expression and I think a lot of brands don't nail it. They don't really know. It's very traditional, maybe even a little bit outdated. So I think for you to have that, listen to me here. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So
Oh,
for
I love this.
for you, what I like is you have both sides of the equation. You have been on the influencer creator side where you know the language, you know what you're looking for, what turns you on. And then you also could be on the brand side and have been on the brand side. So you can make those partnerships just so rich and fulfilling. And I would imagine more lasting than just like this quick hit on the gram.
Yeah. It would be great because, again, you get to be creative and you get to connect with
Yes.
people and I read these campaign briefs and I'm like, okay, I like this, but I think I would be able to do it a little bit.
Yes.
I'd have an idea to turn it up a little bit. So
Do
it's
it.
fun. I want to be creative. And again, I'll do this for the time being, but I'm like, I am always forward thinking. I'm like, okay, what's next? What can I see? I love this space. I have always loved to be a creative person. And so just like you, I'm like, okay, let's see what we could do here. So we'll
Mhm.
see. I'll keep you
Do it.
updated.
Keep me updated and do it, do it, do it. It's just one of those things. It will have nothing but benefit because it'll stretch you. It'll only bless even what you have currently. Like it's just not going to get in the way. It'll just expand what you already have. I think it's fabulous. Let's get into some rapid fire because I want to know some of these secrets. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
What is right now your beauty obsession? Can't live without beauty product that you're just like, I would go to a deserted island with this.
There's a new brow gel from the Sephora collection, and
Stop.
my hair's dyed. It's like a brow tint, and I don't want to dye my eyebrows. So I put the brow tint on, and it just has changed my life. I feel like my makeup sits together better now that it's blended better, but it's literally like a brow gel and a coloring tint in one from the Sephora collection.
Stop. Does it actually tint and last, or is it just for the day until you wash?
Oh, no, just for the day.
Just for
So
the
every
day.
day, yeah, I wash it off and then I reapply
Ooh,
because
okay.
I'm
We will be.
scared to dye my eyebrows.
You are.
Yeah.
Eyebrows are so important. Like, we
Yeah.
cannot mess this up. If you mess it up, we got a big situation on our hands.
Exactly. So if you're like me and you're a little nervous and you don't want to jump all the way in, try it.
What is the best advice you've ever been given?
I go back to my dad. He always said, trust your instincts.
Mm.
He had a lot of sayings. He had me at 50. So he was an older dad, but he always had all these sayings. One is funny. Okay, I'm going to tell you. So
Mm.
he always said, trust your instincts. But then he always would tell me, you could step in a pile of crap and smell like a rose. So that's kind of, I always have that in my mind. I'm like, okay, things are bad, but I'm like, things always look up. So I
They
always keep
do.
that in my mind.
Oh, dad. And I can tell how you're living his legacy because you
Yeah.
have been trusting yourself and you do see the sweet side of things. You're an example. Okay, what's your biggest ick?
When someone tries to be someone that they're not, be real in all your phases of life. If you don't have it together, that's okay. If you are going through a hard, like, that's okay. Just be authentic. You don't have to prove anything to anyone.
So good. Do not like the proving energy. Just like that fake it till you make it is the worst advice ever.
I agree.
The worst. Okay, your last meal on earth. What are you ordering? What are you eating? Is it a restaurant? Is it a particular dish?
This is so specific. I was at the Baha Mar Resort in the Bahamas.
Yes, been there.
Isn't it amazing? Okay,
Very
it's the
good.
restaurant, it's the steakhouse restaurant there. They have the best mac and cheese. I'm gonna go back there just for the mac and cheese. Karna,
Yes, and I have had their mac and cheese, and I can attest.
the truffle mac and cheese. I've never had anything like it in my life. I talk about it all the time. So
Okay,
try it.
Marco, take the girl back to Bahamas for some truffle
Mm.
mac and cheese. I can attest it is delicious.
Next level.
Next level. What do you want to be known for?
Being a kind person, being a good person. Every interaction I have with somebody, that's what I hope that they could say about me. Just having a good heart. You know what? I think about that often. What legacy? I just want to be known as being a kind person.
You're living it.
So,
You're living it,
thank
friend.
you.
And last rapid fire, but I'm so curious about your answer. What does iconic mean to you? When you think the word iconic, what comes to mind?
Being unapologetically yourself and kind of being a trailblazer. There's a lot of, like, I think, consumption online. This is the trend, and this is what you should be buying because this is the clean girl aesthetic and all this stuff. Forget all of that. Forget it. Be yourself. Just be you in all aspects of you, the good, bad, and the ugly. Own it because that's who you are. And I think we need to see more of people owning that originality nowadays.
Yeah, which is a trailblazer because you're doing things that have never been done before. I think that's an excellent answer. We've never had that one before. That's so good. Okay, so to wrap this up, I feel like most people are going to know who you are, but we're going to assume there's some that maybe don't. Welcome to Hannah. and her beautiful world. Where can people go and immerse themselves? I know you're doing cooking on TikTok. Like, where would you like them to go and hang out with you?
TikTok and Instagram are my main forms of connecting with my viewers right now. So find me on TikTok and Instagram, Hannah Maria Wright on TikTok and Hannah M. Wright on Instagram. That's where I document my life here in Pittsburgh, my 2 dogs, and my fiance.
Your fiance, Marco. Well, say hi to Marco for us,
Oh,
and
I
thank
will.
you for your time today. Thank you for the depth, and I just had a feeling we were going to have a very beautiful conversation together. I knew I didn't want it to be centered around gossip on Love Island and the villa, and more of just knowing Hannah, this gorgeous, stunning woman who took my breath away when she walked into the room. I
Oh,
knew there was a story behind this, and so much. I could feel it even from the show. There's a depth and a wisdom to you that is just so attractive. And so keep being you. Thank you for being a part of the podcast and the magazine. It's so just such a privilege and honor to showcase you. Good people and kind women like yourself.
oh, thank you. And thank you for giving women a platform like this. Thank you for having me. This was amazing.
It was. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and presence with us. I would love to nudge you now to respond to the generosity of this podcast by leaving a review and sharing this episode. Please tag the guest and myself as well so more people can be served. Our latest issue of the magazine is now out and linked below for you for your convenience. And if you're interested in this incredible PR and visibility opportunity, we've linked that below for you as well. Now, let's go make it a great day.